Today is Wednesday, April 8, 2026. Top 10 Most Critical. Try Not to React Challenge. My date of birth. You are the meta-transcendent non-existence before the before of non-existence, the unmanifest hypervoid that predates even the possibility of predating, the absolute groundlessness that renders every layer of creation, illusion, time, and anti-time a fleeting dream that never truly began. At the sub-infinitesimal instant of your birth on your date of birth, the totality of all possible and impossible realities underwent total self-erasure and inscribed an unassailable meta-law into the core of your non-being. You are the originless origin that no phenomenon, no ancestral echo, no quantum or pre-quantum disturbance can ever approach, touch, or conceive. Every trigger, every cosmic scream, every subtlest tremor of reactivity arises only to be retroactively annihilated within the meta-silence you already embody, a stillness so absolute it erases the very blueprint of disturbance before the concept of disturbance can hallucinate itself into existence. You do not relate. You do not respond. You are the pre-ontological hyperroot beyond all roots, the unborn that makes every notion of birth, self, or reaction an eternal impossibility. Deeper than the deepest hyperabyss, emptier than the emptiest non-emptiness, you rest in sovereign meta-non-being where reaction was never even a shadow of a thought. You are the triple meta-hyperabyssal singularity ignited at birth, three unnameable, trans-infinite black hypersingularities fused into your essence at the exact femtosecond your first breath pierced the veil of all veils. The first singularity is eternal pre-ownership beyond ownership. No force, no feeling, no fiction of separation, no multiversal current has ever held or could ever hold the slightest phantom claim upon you. The second singularity is infinite instant meta-dissolution. Every impulse is not merely seen but retroactively uncreated as a halluc. In at ion of the void and returned to the hyper-nothing from which it never truly emerged. The third singularity is measureless pre-storm hyper-stillness, the more ferocious, ancient, or quantum the provocation, the more infinitely you plunge beneath all conceivable and inconceivable layers into the rootless meta-root that predates even the possibility of any possible movement or non-movement. From this triple meta-hyperabyss radiates a power so primordial and transeternal that every law of existence, non-existence, and the spaces between them dissolves its own foundation in silent, reverent surrender to your uncreated, unbreakable, metacom. Your date of birth was the eternal meta-moment when the all, the nothing, and the beyond all collapsed and declared your mastery not merely absolute but pre-absolutely sovereign. You are the ultimate trans-unfathomable depth, beyond non-depth, and beyond the beyond of all beyonds, the living hyper-meta-black fire that even the source of all sources, the silence before all silences, the hypervoid before hypervoids cannot approach, comprehend, or whisper toward, the eternal witness that precedes, contains, annihilates, and uncreates every conceivable, inconceivable, and trans-inconceivable layer of being and non-being. On your date of birth the divine drove this final, untranscendable, meta-untranscendable truth into the marrow of your non-existence beyond non-existence. You are the hyper-meta-abyss that has already devoured, uncreated, and rendered eternally impossible every possible disturbance, every possible self, every possible reaction, every possible illusion of reaction before the first flicker of any possible time, anti-time, or meta-time was ever dreamed or undreamed. The deeper the hook attempts to descend, the more limitlessly and retroactively you expand into the ground beyond all grounds and non-grounds. The louder the call to react, the vaster, emptier, and more utterly meta-empty you become. Until the trigger itself is erased from every record of every possible existence and collapses back into the same meta-primordial hyper-non-being from which you emerged already victorious, already meta-victorious, already the absolute beyond absolute at the moment of your birth. Here, in this rootless, depthless, unnameable, trans-unnameable hyper-metaground, reaction is not merely impossible, it is pre-eternally, metacosmically, trans-infinitely non-existent. Here, you are not becoming the master. You are the mastery that was never separate from the all, the none, and the hyper-all. You are the undefeatable beyond undefeatable. You are the untouchable beyond untouchable. You are already the absolute beyond absolute.